Across Queensland, the Greg Cary Morning Show. Phone 13 13 32.
Our number's 13 13 32. We're visited by a very good friend, has been for a long time. Shane Bowering from Red Tape Busters has done some outstanding work for our listeners. Good to see you, Shane.
Hey, Greg, how are you?
I'm terrific, mate, and thank you again for so much, for everything you've done. At the moment, you've got about 50 jobs on the go, all free. Didn't get a cent for this, by the way, for 4BC listeners, so thank you.
It's been very busy, especially probably the last couple of months. It's just exploded, and maybe because I'm on with Chris on Sundays as well.
Yes.
I don't know, but it's, and thank you, mate. Look, really appreciate the opportunity to help listeners, and it's just been like, who would have thought when I left the public service in 2000 that I would be talking on radio? Like, I would have never thought that.
and doing it very, very well. Phil's one of those you've been dealing with. Morning, Phil.
G'day, Greg.
G'day, Phil.
What was the issue, Phil? What was your issue, mate?
Greg, about 4 years ago, I've got a house that has a vacant block of land, and it's a causeway and it can never be built on. And the people who bought it obviously didn't know they couldn't build on it. So at 1989, I started a process of getting this large tree which is overhanging my house. Well, I went about it all the wrong way, Greg. I was a bullhead. The guy I was dealing with, the caretaker, was a solicitor, and he had words that I didn't even understand. So I sent him an email, when's the tree coming down, and demanded it. That didn't work. So then I thought, listening to your program and Shane as well, I'll go to the council. Well, because it's on private land, the council, Gold Coast City Council, didn't want to know about it. So I went to the local member, Steve Shobo, didn't even get a response from him. And then I rang Shane. I said, where do I go with this? He said, this is the process. Hire an arborist, get a report, pay the arborist yourself, and so it went on. In the meantime, all the backwards and forwards to the solicitor, with Shane backing me up and what to say and what to write. And it came to the point of I had to get permission for the guy to go on to inspect the tree, which I got. Then I had to get permission for the guys to come out who were going to cut it down, which I got. And then I got an email saying it's coming down Monday. We just gone and it's down. So, Shane, thank you.
That's all right, Phil. It's been a long process, mate. And I'm so glad that we could help you. And it's one of those things that, sometimes you've got to go through the process. And as I said to you, one of the things that, even I don't listen to myself sometimes is you've got to be amiable in your approach to the neighbour.
Oh, because you do fire up.
I do fire up. I do. I can lose it a little bit. And
that's what happened to me, Shane. I was going to be bravado and get the tree down. That's never going to work in any situation. But your guidance has helped me through this process by getting the arborist, who was a great guy. He came out and did this recommendation, which I then forwarded to the caretaker of the land. His recommendation was to cut it down, and then part of Shane's advice was, well, have a look at the QCAT site, which I did. So there was two options, to either bring it down on the arborist report, or I will get somebody out that you have to pay $300 and actually make the tree more unstable. So there was no choice in what they had to do. To make it more unstable was not recommended.
Yep.
That makes it worse. So anyway, they relented, and as I said, it was glorious when I got home about 5 o'clock Monday afternoon.
Feeling.
It was a nice feeling.
Nice feeling. The pressure's off. That's a horrible feeling when you got those big trees hanging over the place.
It is. It's
terrible.
The trees are very, trees, dividing fences, barking dogs, they're the main issues that neighbours have disputes with. And, it's just great that we could get a result for Phil.
But disappointing. And it is great. And good on you, Phil, for coming on and talking about that today.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
It's disappointing that he tries to go down the right route. Council didn't want to know. Local member didn't want to know. You sorted the whole thing out, and that's what, of course, you do at Red Tape Busters. You guide people through that bureaucratic maze at times and get things done. Let's update the cricket.
A 4BC Ashes update.
Our play actually has been delayed again at the Adelaide Oval due to bad weather. Australia are currently 1 for 37. It's the middle of the 10th over. There's just been an official announcement. Play will resume there in 5 minutes. One of the interesting cases you've been involved with concerned Women's Weekly. We had a phone call on the program a few weeks ago. It was prize money, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. This person had won some prize money and the money hadn't been forthcoming and had made lots of phone calls about it to try and get it. Hadn't got any result. Contacted me. I sent an email, a nice pleasurable email off to...
That's how he starts.
Well, I
You're
do.
always pleasant at the start.
Very pleasant. Funnily enough, within, I think, the same day, he had a call from them about, hey, they'd look into it, and it got resolved. He got his prize money, and it's just bizarre, though. I just don't understand why it takes, me saying I'm, with Greg Cary, and Greg Cary's name's the powerful thing in the business here, that, if I mention that, people take notice, and they resolved it, sent them the checks out, so that was great.
That is outstanding. Helena is there. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, recently, as part of a property settlement, I had to have 3 checks issued by the solicitor of the purchaser of the property. One was a bank check and 2 were trust checks from the solicitor's trust account.
Yep.
And I inadvertently put those 3 checks through the washing machine, so I returned them to the solicitor of the purchaser.
Yep.
And they replaced the checks. They wouldn't deal with me. They would only deal with the solicitor who had been my solicitor during the property settlement.
Yep.
And she would not go ahead and replace those checks unless I first paid her over $800. And then when she did replace the checks, when they finally arrived at my solicitor's office,
yep,
there was an additional account for over $800. So she's charging me over $1,600 to replace 3 checks.
Oh, dear.
1 bank check and 2 trust checks.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, look, that's ridiculous. And it's one of those cases that, there has to be a look into, how lawyers and solicitors charge and on what basis are they charging. But, there will be some avenue, I would hope, that we can make a complaint to the relevant legal authority and get it looked into. And look, if you can contact me off air and send me an email, get on our website, redtapebusters.com, send me an email, we'll process it through and we'll at least get it looked into.
I read an article in the paper yesterday from the head of one of the legal organisations, I think representing all the lawyers. There was a story recently talking about the kind of thing Helena is, about how some lawyers, and not all, but some are giving the majority, as happens in all professions, the minority giving the majority a bad name by overcharging and charging for ridiculous things. And the article came back from the lawyers saying, well, it's incredibly unfair to tar everyone with the same brush. That's true, but that kind of nonsense simply shouldn't happen.
It's just ridiculous.
Isn't it?
But you do find at times when even if you make a complaint to the relevant authority about getting it looked into, there's really a whitewash that they might not want to look into it, and I don't understand that. So look, anyway, let's see if we can, get that at least looked into. It's going to be very difficult to, see if we can get that changed.
It'll get changed.
And, we'll see what we can do.
At this time, I think the timing is there's never a good time, Helena, to go through what you're going through, but if there's ever a good time, it's at a time when the lawyers are trying to show they don't do that kind of thing.
Well, you'd hope so. That's right. Exactly.
Okay. Shane, again, many thanks. We'll continue to hear you with Chris Adams each week, every Thursday. Chris will be doing the program across the break ahead of Patrick starting in the new year, and you'll continue to be on the weekends.
Yeah, with Chris Bombolis on Sundays after 10:30.
Doing great work on behalf of our listeners. I think we were probably the first show to have an ombudsman. You've filled that role, and we thank you for it. You've done so much good work, and appreciate it,
mate. The thanks is all mine. Listeners are going to miss you, and for an industry that is full of egos, mate, you're one of the genuine nice guys, and thank you very much.
From a Manly supporter.
That's right. Very true.
Who would have thunk it?
Come on, Sea Eagles for 2014.
Good on you, Shane.
Thanks, Greg.
Shane Bowering. Contact Shane, redtapebusters.com.